I have this microphone. I filmed this video before, but then the microphone didn't work. I have this microphone Keenan gave to me to borrow, and it makes me feel like Emma Chamberlain, so I love it. But basically, I'm going to be talking about my sobriety today because I am officially 6 months sober. Like technically, but like I quit drinking probably like 8 months ago, and then after 2 months, I like drank once. So I've like drank once basically in the past 8 months, but I'm 6 months technically um off the drink. And I asked, because I was getting loads of questions about it, I asked on Instagram for everyone to ask me questions just for like prompts. But I'm going to be talking about my experience with this. Because I feel like as well, like when I was quitting, like when I first started like quitting, I was like couldn't find any videos about it online that were like like not alcoholic people that were like talking about them like doing fucked up shit when they were like an alcoholic. I feel like that's mainly what people talk about. They don't actually talk about the benefits or their experience of being sober. So I'll say why I quit drinking because I got that question a lot. What triggered it was that I was constantly for like a few months, just constantly every time I drank, I'd be like, I don't want to drink. I want to quit drinking. And then I was always like that, but I didn't really mean it. But then I started to mean it, and then I couldn't stop drinking. And then I was like, I really don't want something that's in control of me, and I don't want to be a prisoner to anything because my goal is to be free, and alcohol is in the way of that. In so many ways. I feel like this is a common experience of someone who's like, especially Irish or English, but like I think that the drinking culture is like so bad and fucked up. And on the media as well, it's like this image is portrayed of like the messy party girl or the messy party boy, and it's like sexy and like sophisticated and charming to drink. And I just think it's like really fucked up because I don't think it's interesting to drink alcohol because it's just it's a trap. It's like anyone can be addicted to alcohol. Do you know? It's not something that you have to be a specific person to like alcohol. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like we act like that is the case. That it's like mature or like it's like cool, even though it's like I think it's really cool to be able to be strong and make your own decisions and do what you want to do. But yeah, I really it really fucked me up. Like I started drinking when I was 12. I was really depressed as a teenager, and I think alcohol was a big factor in that. Like I loved to drink alcohol because I think that creative people um I feel like typically it's creative people but who think a certain way, or like maybe neurodivergent people. I don't know. I don't want to be like, I feel like everyone is a victim to the alcohol trap, but I just mean like, yeah, I really liked it because I was always really bored and I was always really intrigued by drinking and like that kind of culture because I thought it looked really, really fun and like so far away from normal mundane life. Yeah, the people I was around, the things I was doing, I didn't know myself. So I would all of my actual desires I neglected and suppressed with alcohol, because I would be in a group and I would be really bored or like not enjoying the conversation any of the time, and then instead of acknowledging the fact that I didn't get along with these people or I didn't really like these people, I just suppressed it with drinking, or I suppressed my desires with drinking because I thought my desires were wrong and what I wanted didn't matter. And drugs really fucked me up as well. I had psychosis when I had psychosis. I got psychosis when I was like 18 or something. Yeah, it was after I was 18. I had psychosis for a really long time, and um that fucked me up. And then I stopped doing drugs and that helped a bit, but still, like, to the day I stopped drinking, I was getting panic attacks all the time. And I get really like fucked up panic attacks. Like, I'm not just like, oh, I'm gonna die. Like, it's like surpassed my fear of death. It's like, you're not gonna die. You're in like a space time continuum, like, where, like, you know what I mean? You're actually immortal and you're just in this cycle. Like, I don't want to give anyone ideas, but like, it's like, like, death is like, I've like surpassed my fear of death when I'm having a panic attack, and it's like even more intense because you get more, your anxiety gets more clever. And yeah, my panic attacks are like not cute. Like, I'm literally like, I have a note in my wallet on what to do if I'm having a psychotic episode or a panic attack, because they're so similar. But anyways, I was also just extremely depressed. Alcohol made me extremely depressed. I think it makes most people depressed because it's a fucking depressant. I'm also sick of this thing of like, oh, alcohol's just not for you. And we blame the person rather than the alcohol when alcohol is literal poison. I was also a person who was very sick all the time. My health was really bad. I was always sick, like always sick. And like, I get bedridden for 5 days or I'm in so much pain because I have glandular fever, like chronic glandular fever. So I get really sick really easily. And so I was always in bed. So my mental health was really bad. My physical health was really bad. I was just on my last straw of like my mental like capabilities. Like, I basically I went to a party, and then the next day I had the fear and I just felt really depressed and really bad. And I remember I was in my bed and I was like, you know, when you're like scribbling all over your page because you're so depressed and you're like, help me, help me, help me. It was like, I just kept praying and being like, please help me, please help me. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And then the next day, I was doing my morning pages, which is a channel to God, is when I where I communicate with God and get my like wisdom and like my advice from. And basically, I just realized in the chat that I need to stop drinking and that it's the source of a lot of my problems. I was desperate to get better and to take care of myself. I wasn't desperate to stop drinking. I was desperate to be happy and to take care of myself. I got a question and it was like, do you think that, it was actually a really good question. It was like, do you think that, you know, if you quit alcohol, it would just be replaced by another unhealthy coping mechanism, and that you can't escape your unhealthy coping mechanisms? I think that if you were to quit alcohol and see quitting alcohol as a sacrifice rather than a gain, and you're just withholding your will and you're using willpower to not drink, or you're just like constantly tempted but you can't, then it hasn't clicked, and you're not benefiting yourself at all if you're doing it that way. um because you'll replace it with something else, and you still kind of are in that mindset of drinking alcohol and in the alcohol trap. I read Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Quit Drinking, and this is where I'm getting a lot of this information. I read that book, or I listened to the audiobook. It was so good. Like, it proper just helped me like completely. How I do things and how I work on things in my life is I don't just use willpower. I'm not just like, I'm going to start eating healthy because I need to start eating healthy, or I'm going to stop drinking because I need to stop drinking. It's, why do I drink? Why shouldn't I drink? What's the psychology of those two? And what is my goal in life, and what is my intention? I want to be intentional with my life rather than passive. And I fully realized the alcohol trap and the illusion that alcohol is a gain, and not a deterrent on your life. I kind of was able to see past the illusion. And if you see past the illusion, then you can't go back. Do you know what I mean? If you fully realize the illusion, then you can't go back, because then you're free. And if you don't realize the illusion, then you're not free, and there's no point in quitting alcohol. So I'm just going to talk about the positive effects first, on what I think has helped me, and I'll think of things throughout the video. But someone asked about my anxiety, and my anxiety genuinely stopped. I haven't had a panic attack in 8 months. Which is like crazy for me. Like, I was always having panic attacks back in the day. Oh my God. This one time I was coming home from Galway. Me and my friend were in Galway and we went out for New Year's Eve. I was fucking like, I would also black out all the time. And the next day we're driving back to Dublin and we kept saying like our joke for the weekend was just like, oh, I wish this was real. Like, I wish that person was real, or like, I wish this shop was real, because it was just a joke about dissociation or whatever, because it's just like whatever. And then we were at a shop. She pulled into a gas station, a petrol station, and I'm watching too much American fucking YouTubers. But and then I just go, oh, I wish this was real. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's not real. It doesn't see, something seems off. And then I was like, wait, this isn't real. And then I had a panic attack. Oh my fucking God. It was so. And then I had to sit in a car for 3 hours. And she also broke down. So we had to like, it was so bad. Like, and me being in a car is crazy because I get so like dissociated when I'm in a car. Anyways, I haven't had a panic attack in 8 months. I also just don't like, basically, I struggle with IBS, and so I will vomit or I will shit myself if I'm really anxious. I also don't struggle with that as much at all. I used to like be in like, oh my God, in ribbons. Like, my stomach was always so sore, and I was like, when you're taking a shit and you're like, you have to like pray to God because it's so bad. Like I would have to chant when I was taking a shit because it was so bad, because like chanting makes me feel better. Like, I would have to be like, pray to all the gods and be like, please help me. And like, when you're like, I'm gonna go to hospital because this is so bad. That was like happening 4 times a week. I always just had the shits, and I was just like, I actually don't really mind the shits for some reason. It's like comforting to me. Like, I actually don't care about the shits. I feel like, you know what I mean. I'd rather it over a lot of things, But that has gone. I still obviously have IBS, but like sometimes, but basically it's so embarrassing saying I don't know, like, I just don't think it's cool at all to be like, I have IBS. Like, I don't even think it's funny. I just like hate, like, if I hear someone be like, I have IBS, I just imagine them shitting. So I feel like you guys just think that of me now. But basically, anyways, that helped. Also, another benefit, I was used to be, as I said before, I used to be bedridden, sick all the time. I have chronic glandular fever. If you have glandular fever, you just like get sick all the time. Now I haven't been properly sick in 8 months, which is like insane, because I was like always sick, and I haven't been sick in like 8 months. I've been kind of sick where I'm like in bed for one day and then I'm over it, or like I'll have like I'll be congested but like not properly sick. Like, I'm properly sick because basically I'm also allergic to milk. So it's like all the fucking health problems. I'm also allergic to milk. So if I have milk, then I just get congested, and um I also have mold in my room, so I'm just constantly congested. Like, that's just who I am. Do you know what I mean? I'm just congested. But basically, and I smoke about fucking a million cigarettes a day. But basically, yeah, so it's really improved my health. Next thing, sleeping. I couldn't sleep at night and I would sleep in, or I would like get a routine going, then it would just completely collapse when I started drinking, when I would drink, and my sleep drastically improved. Um Now I get a good 8 hours of sleep every night. I can wake up really early. I've said this in my last video. I wake up at 7:30 every morning. I can make my own routine and stick to it. Getting up early is genuinely a game changer of your happiness and your peace. Like, it literally improves your mood so much waking up early, especially if you're an introvert. But even if you're not an introvert, like, it's just, I get so much energy from the silence of the morning. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was drinking. Yeah, I'm a person who like struggles with fucking insomnia. Like, I struggle with a lot of things apparently. But anyways, but no, when I was drinking, like, I would like stay up till 5 or like whatever. So that's improved. If I was drinking and I woke up, the second I would wake up, I just go, I want to kill myself. Or like, you just have this overwhelming shame and guilt and like horror. And then you fall back asleep and then you wake up and you're a bit better. But I don't have that anymore. I don't have the fear. People who have the fear, that's crazy. I am not like, I am like sure of myself and I have integrity and dignity where I don't feel like when I'm walking through the street, I'm not like, oh my God, like, did I see them when I was drunk? Who did I kiss when I was drunk? I can make promises to people. I'm reliable because I'm not drinking. When you're drinking, you're so much more unpredictable. You're so much more out of control. You can literally do anything when you're drunk and you just act out of character when you're drunk. And I don't have that anymore. I feel aligned with my true self and consistent. And I don't feel messy and horrible about myself. I feel like I have dignity and strength and that I'm powerful. Do you know? That's how I feel. I feel really powerful and in control. So basically why we drink is because it's an unhealthy coping mechanism. The same for smoking weed. The same with like sex or porn. The same with a lot of things. Same with doom scrolling. Why we do it is because we feel sad, lonely, something's happened in our life, we feel bored, um, all these things. And it may not feel like it when you're about to grab a drink that, you know, you're doing it out of self neglect, but it is. Because if you were consciously drinking, if you were conscious and mindful when you were drinking, you would know that it's not good for you and that you don't like it at all, but you still do it. You are tricked into liking it because it's an addictive poison that's made to be addictive. Even Alan Carr says, he's like, when do you feel best when you're drinking? Which drink is it? And it's always the first or second drink. For about 30 minutes, you feel on a buzz. That's the only good time, or even dare I say, before you start drinking, the moment before it presses up against your lips is the best moment. The anticipation is so much better than the actual thing. It's the only reason you consume it is because you need it rather than you want it. Because your first drink is always really good, but your last drink is always horrible, like horrible, because you have this desperation, this like banging desperation of I don't want this to end, or I want sex, or I want this, or I want that. You're like a caveman, and or you feel horrible and depressed and lonely, or you feel like it was pointless drinking, or you regret it. And imagine then doing that again and doing that again and doing that again. It's that trick that it's going to make us feel better because it's instant gratification, but we always regret it and it always makes us feel worse. It always makes the wound deeper and worse. And we know that, but we keep doing it. And I think that that's from a lack of intention and lack of consciousness. So then I replaced my coping mechanisms with for drinking with something else. And that something else is what I like to call processing my emotions and feeling my emotions when they arrive. Then you won't subconsciously project it or make it worse by self-destructive behaviors. So even I am so strong now that when you first stop drinking, you're like really overwhelmed and scared because you're like all of these you go through a dark night of the soul of like all of these things that you're avoiding with drink just like come up. And then it's also like you're even more so like Jesus, drinking like is such like an avoidant self-neglectful behavior. This is your life. Don't you want to be happy and free? Like, this is your life and you need to be intentional. Do you know? Do you feel lonelier? I thought that I would feel really lonely. I thought that it would be a thing that would separate me even more from other people. But it's actually done the opposite. It's quality over quantity now of the people that are in my life because I was always so unsatisfied with the quantity and so unsatisfied with my relationships when I was drinking, and I was always so bored. And now I feel in control of my life where I can hang out with who I want when I want, and I'm lucky that I'm not surrounded by people who are like real partiers. Like I would probably be more of a partier than my best friend who drinks. Like I would be more like let's go out and she'd be like no. I still go out and party, but I just don't drink. Because if you love partying so much, don't you want to be conscious to experience it? Do you know? Being drunk is like suppressing your consciousness, your awareness of what's going on. And don't you want to be aware of what you're doing and feel what you're doing to the fullest extent? Another misconception about drinking, Alan Carr talks about this in his book, but is the term Dutch courage. It means obviously that when you drink, you get courage to do the things that you're scared of. But courage is the ability to do things even when you're scared. So it's to feel the fear and do it anyways. But what alcohol does is it suppresses your fear and numbs your fear so you don't have any fear. And then you put yourself in dangerous situations because the fear is there and the caution is there to protect you. And then you can consciously assess that fear. You're able to assess the fear of this is actually survival fear of I actually am unsafe in this situation, and then fear that's just social fear. I shouldn't do that because, I'm going to have no friends or everyone's going to hate me or whatever. And you're able to tell the difference between the two when you're conscious. But when you're unconscious, aka drunk, you can't tell the difference. It's suppressed. Both of them are suppressed and both of them are neglected and ignored. So you'll be able to talk to your crush and flirt with your crush. You'll be able to feel confident dancing, but you'll also potentially go back to a random man's house who you don't know and put yourself in danger, or walk through a dark alleyway. This is if you're a woman. Walk through a dark alleyway, walk yourself home, talk to strangers, do drugs, also humiliate yourself, show off, be impolite, be unkind, be selfish, be obnoxious, all these things that your fear kind of stops you from. Having courage is feeling fear and doing it anyways. And it's a virtuous trait to have. And nothing virtuous comes from alcohol because it's only an appearance of what you are. So it's like some people think that they can be themselves when they're drunk, but you cannot actually connect with another person if you're unconscious. Your egos are just connecting with each other, or your facade. It's just a facade and it's not actually you. It's an appearance of what you are rather than the real thing. And so, yeah, I don't struggle with the whole, FOMO thing. I don't really struggle. The things that give me FOMO are like, because the media perpetuates, drinking culture so much, and encourages it, that sometimes I feel left out in the way where like I'll watch like an LA vlog of like Carrington and Jake whoever. I'm so embarrassed, and I'll be like, that looks so fun, and I'll be like, oh, I wish I could do that, like go to a party. Like parties are so fun, but like I don't get invited to parties, so I don't know why I'm saying that, but I'm like shit like that. Or like I was watching Sex and the City and Carrie Bradshaw was having like a mojito, and I was like, that's so fun, I want to do that. And then I'll be like, maybe I should drink. But then I think about it. I think about how Carrie Bradshaw feels after her third drink. And she's like texting her ex and she's like desperate. Or her last drink when she's desperate and she doesn't want anyone to go home because she wants to party all night long. Or the morning when she just has the fear and she's like, there was no point in me drinking. And then I'm like, oh, that's just an illusion. That's not real temptation. That's just the illusion that I was conditioned to believe. But it's only from my conditioning. It's not how what I really want and how I really feel, because we're told what we want and how to feel. But now what I actually want is stronger than that, because I actually know what I want. I don't want to be friends with people who I feel the need to drink with, or who rely on drink a lot to have fun, or who only think I'm cool if I drink. I don't want to be friends with those kind of people. I want to demand my own space and make my own friends and be the leader, and the captain of my own life. And I decide what's cool, I decide what's fun, I know what I enjoy, and I only want to surround myself with people who align with that. There's nothing wrong with people that drink or anything like that. It's just, it's not, you know, it's not me. I don't drink, you know. Um, so yeah, and my family and my friends drink alcohol, but like they're not like, relying on it, for everything. And we're able to do stuff without drinking, and I actually enjoy being around them when they're drunk, because I find it them that they loosen up, and then I can enjoy myself. Because I hate when I'm with someone and they're like, I'm not gonna drink because you're not drinking. I'm like, can you just drink? Because like you're not used to it yet, so you're gonna be awkward and tense, and I don't want to have to deal with that. Do you know what I mean? Because when you first stop drinking, you're really awkward and tense because you're not used to it. But then you kind of learn actual social skills because you've been relying on alcohol for your social skills. But then when it's taken away, you actually build social skills, because you're conscious and you have to rely on yourself. And I think quitting alcohol makes you a better person, a more virtuous person with actual virtue and, virtuous traits, because you're actually building from yourself. You're not just passively drinking alcohol to then replicate these traits. Do you know? You're actually building them. Do you ever miss the buzz of having a few drinks with your friends and feel like you're being too hard on yourself? Any advice on this feeling? I used to very much feel guilt and shame all the time for drinking or doing drugs. Like I would feel really ashamed, and people would be like, "You need to just calm," because I'm very much like, I need to do this for myself. I'm very like, I take care of myself, but it's also in a way that I'm ashamed of myself if I engage in like a self-destructive behavior. I feel really a lot of shame for that. So I was told a lot that it was like, don't be so hard, like calm down, you don't have to be perfect person. But I think that that's also a thing to just keep you trapped in the alcohol trap, as if it takes more energy to quit alcohol rather than keep drinking. You shouldn't be ashamed of yourself or guilty. It's okay if you are, but it drains you more to drink than to not drink. And that being switched is just a trick, because we think that giving up alcohol is a sacrifice, and that we're withholding ourselves from the sweet, from fun or sweetness, but we're not. We're actually treating ourselves, and it doesn't feel like it in the moment because you're conditioned to think otherwise. You have to rebel against that conditioning in order to thrive in this world. Another question was, do you feel closer to God because of it? And I like 100% do, because alcohol is noise, and what I'm trying to do in my life is to get rid of the noise, the external noise, so I can have silence inside. And with that silence, that what can arise is what I actually want and my heart's desires, so that I'm living in truth, in my truth, and that I don't wake up when I'm 50 years old and go, I don't want this life. Someone told me to have this life. I didn't choose this life. I want to make my own decisions consciously, and I want to be free of external noise. Someone also asked, what's the worst part about sobriety? This is the worst thing for me, and something that has literally made me be like, oh, I think I'm going to start drinking. Basically, if I'm on a night out, and you know the way you want to go on a night out and you want to just like make out with someone and just like have fun and just make out with someone, I like can't do that because I'm sober. So like I'm not going to kiss someone who's drunk, because I would feel weird about it, and you can't really consent when you're drunk. So I can't do that. Or like get laid. It's like harder for me to get laid. So I'm not going to like go on a date either. Do you know? That's the only thing. But the thing about that is that when I did drink, I would feel horrible after I'd kiss someone on a night out. So I think that's just a trick also, an illusion that I want that, because I want a meaningless, kiss. Do you know? I want a meaningless flirt, but I'm actually satisfied with that. Do you know? I want to, save that stuff because it's really sacred to me. I sound so religious, but I'm not. I literally sound like I'm like Catholic. I'm literally not religious at all. I'm spiritual. But anyways, but I love Jesus. I feel like Jesus has a bad rap, and I just wanted to say that I love Jesus, and thanks so much for dying for my sins. And I think we need to remember that it's not Jesus's fault, it's the Catholic Church's fault. Do you know what I'm saying? That's all I'll say about that. So bored without drugs is so fair. When you first do it, like the first few months, you're so bored. You feel so bored, and you're just like drinking because your dopamine is attached to drinking, and it has been since you started when you were like 16. So you've been doing that every weekend. So your brain is conditioned and trained to associate fun with dopamine, or to fun with drinking. And before you drank, when you were like, before you were whatever age, you'd like make up dances with your friends, you'd like play games with your friends, and you'd feel so happy, like you'd feel ecstatic when you were a child. And when you stop drinking, that comes back. That died because of alcohol. It numbed that. When you quit alcohol, you get actual joy from actual things you enjoy. And drinking doesn't seem like a big deal or fun, or you don't attach it with excitement anymore. You attach things you actually enjoy with excitement. So like, I'll think about, like, today I'm going charity shopping with Mia to Drogheda, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have a coffee in the car with her. I'm so excited to have a smoke in the car. Well, I'm addicted to smoking, but I love playing chess. I get really excited about playing chess, or I'll be like snuggle in my bed, and I'll be like, this is like so good. I'm so much more grateful. I'll bring my dog for a walk, and I'll be like, this is so fucking good. Like, I'll be so happy, or I'll just be really excited. And I also used to, and I realized it when I quit drinking, I used to think about events or parties or things or whatever or gigs that I'd be having, and I'd think, oh no, and I'd be anxious because I'd have to drink for them. And I think that's the thing a lot of people experience, and I realized when I became sober how much that made me anxious, because I was going to Newcastle or something with my sister, and I was like, oh great, I don't have to drink. That's so good because I won't be anxious. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the questions are just like, or you feel like you're missing out on drinking culture at this age, because I think a lot of people would experience that. I think alcohol and drugs are just another like version of consumerism and capitalism, and it's just, we've also been conditioned to consume it even though we don't want to. It's only an illusion for me to think that people are getting any joy from that, and I know that to my core. So and that knowing is stronger than the conditioning, and that makes me feel really powerful and free. Like, that makes me feel like I've accomplished something, because a I've rebelled against, and I've challenged my thoughts, that, or I've been able to distinguish between my thoughts and the world's thoughts, or what the world wants me to believe. And that makes me feel powerful and in control of my life. And it makes me trust myself more, because again, I won't wake up when I'm 50 and I won't be like, oh, I didn't want this, someone else told me I wanted this. I'm able to distinguish what I like and what's my voice and what's other people's voices. Um, and drinking is just a part of that. There's numerous things that I'm trying to undo in order to be free, and drinking is just one of them. And I want to be free. I don't want to be a prisoner of anything else. But 0.0s are really good. They really help me, because they actually make me feel like I'm drinking. They actually make me feel tipsy, genuinely. They actually also kind of make me feel like I have a hangover the next day. Like, I think it's the beer. Beer just makes me really tired, but I really like the taste of beer. I also just have a Red Bull when I'm out on a night out, and it's so fun because I'm so energized. Um, I like have had such, like, I had the best night out I've had ever, like a few months ago, like, and I was sober, because I was aware, like witnessing it all. But it was just so bizarre because I was conscious, and like even dancing, I'm conscious, and I'm just like, this is wild, because I'm literally, it's like, I've said this before and I'll say it again, it's like, for heteros, it's like having sex, drinking is like having sex with a condom, and sex is life. Drinking is like having sex with a condom, and not drinking is like having sex, raw dogging, which is so much better. I shouldn't say raw dogging, having sex without a condom, which is so much better. It feels better. You also have more of a potential to get pregnant. And metaphorically speaking, pregnant is pregnant with opportunities, ideas, God, light, space, joy, um, your own creation, your own life. I think that's a really good fucking metaphor to explain it. And I personally, in my life, want to feel everything like Fiona Apple. I want to feel everything that this world has to offer because I'm only a human for a period of time, and I want to live the full human experience. I don't want to numb it or suppress anything. I want to feel everything. And I want to be fully me. I want to make my own decisions about what I want. I want to be fully me because that's my purpose in the world, is to be fully me. Um, so I think having a good philosophy on life and a purpose is like an essential for anything that you want to do in your life, is to have that be bigger than the thing you think you're sacrificing, and realizing that you're actually gaining from it because you're getting closer to yourself. Good luck to anyone who's trying to stop drinking. Well done, and you're doing it's such a big deal, and like you'll feel so proud of yourself and you won't regret it. Um it's literally the best thing I ever did for myself. Like I like want to cry because I'm like, thank you so much. Like thank you. Like that means so much to me. I feel so powerful. And it's like also that's the real fuck you to society who tells you to be a certain way, is to get rid of all these things that are stuffing you down, because it's stuffing you down and it's numbing you, and it's numbing your voice and what you want. Yeah, I think our culture is very much drinking, but who gives a shit? Like, do you know what I mean? I don't resonate with the culture anyway, so do you know what I mean? Just be yourself and don't be anything else, because what's the point in living if you're not being yourself? You won't feel like you have a purpose in the world if you're not being yourself or being authentic to yourself, and you're just doing what everyone else is doing. You're not going to feel like you have a purpose, because you won't have a purpose, because there could be a million of you.